Goldylocks Productions provides professional internet, TV, and radio shows in the spiritual and New Age genre.
Welcome to the Connecting With show. I'm Betty Jane Ware. Just the first things I'm going to give you is the things I always forget. And that's my phone number. It's 416-894-2602. And that's to get in touch with me and book an appointment. And I want you to leave a message because I don't always answer my call, especially when I'm with a client, because it's just not fair to them. So please leave a message and make sure that you talk clearly so that I can understand it. I know it sometimes can be a little freaky calling a psychic for the first time, but please, I will call you back, I promise, as long as I can understand your name and your number. So please do that. Of course, my webpage is www.bettyjaneware.com, and you can always get in touch with me that way. And tonight, it's just me. So I want to touch base with a few things that I've got going on in my life. I am going to be in Ottawa at the Ottawa Psychic Fair doing readings at the Best Western on Robertson Road in Canada. I know I said Ottawa and now I'm saying Canada, but it's really a suburb of Ottawa. So you can book a time to come and see me there, and there's an intuitive Naomi will be there with me. So between the two of us, we're going to be helping heal Ottawa. And we're really looking forward to it. And that's this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday until 9 o'clock Friday and Saturday night until 5 o'clock on Sunday. And that is my last trip to Ottawa this year. So please go ahead and book a time. Also, we have coming up next week, the weekend after that, I am in Brantford for the Psychic Fair. And my guest next week will be, I do have a guest, and her name is Jennifer Pierce. And she is awesome, and she is about finding joy, and she is a great aura photographer, and she is also a good tarot reader as well. So I want everybody to tune in next week to get some readings from Jennifer and I. And Jennifer's got the most adorable little puppy too. Well, the puppy's only, honestly, I think I have tennis balls bigger than her dog, and her dog is 8 years old. So very pretty. And don't forget to call in 323-870-3791 to get your questions answered on air. And I'm happy to do that. It's one of the things I do like best about doing this hour of readings and healings. It's one of my very favorite things to do. So I'm going to take a caller now, and then I'm going to explain about a few more events that I have coming up. So caller number 262, please, Tiffany.
Hi, this is Michelle.
Hi, Michelle. How are you this evening?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, thanks. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Wisconsin.
Okay, and how can I help you this evening?
I was wondering if you see any advance in my career at all.
Okay, what do you do?
I'm a nurse.
Oh, cool. My sister's a nurse. What kind of nurse? Are you a specialized?
Oh, okay.
Are you a specialty nurse?
It's called Safe Patient Handling.
Okay, cool. My sister does brain injuries, so I just know that her patients are all in comas and they never complain about her. So absolutely, that's a really tough job. So I want to thank you for that. Absolutely, I see.
Thank you.
Thank you. I do see some advancement for you. I know in nursing, I pulled a tarot card. I pulled the King of Pentacles, and knowing a little bit about nursing, I know that advancement. It's unique. Like I know there's certain levels that you have to hit. So look for an advancement, and not only just money, but a promotion of some sort. So are you in a hospital?
Yes.
Okay. So look for, so watch that notice board or internal email system or however they do it now, because there is a job coming up that is suited to you, and that's going to happen this fall.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so keep your eye out.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much for your call this evening. You have a great evening.
You You too.
Thank you. Bye. That's cool. So I hope she watches and lets me know what happens with that. And we have another caller. Well, it's 780, please, Roz. If you can put that person through, that would be awesome. Hello.
Hello, how's it going?
Good, thanks. How are you?
Good.
And who am I speaking with?
To a fellow Canadian.
Yeah, you're in Alberta, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
There you go. Whereabouts in Alberta?
Pardon me?
Whereabouts in Alberta?
I'm actually in Edmonton.
Okay, cool. I've been to Edmonton, so there you go. West Edmonton Mall. But I think the Leafs are going to do better than the Oilers. I got to say it.
We'll see what happens this year.
Yeah, exactly. How can I help you this evening?
Hey, I just wondered, I had a really healing weekend last weekend, and I just wondered kind of like what Spirit is saying regarding some of the healing that went on last week. And
Okay.
for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I was at a workshop, actually, and I went to a sweat on Saturday.
Oh, really cool. Yeah, so Spirit's telling me that you're on the right track. Is this a journey that you're sort of just starting or exploring? Because I'm hearing that you're on the right track and keep on going.
Oh, I've been on this for a while.
Okay. Because I'm hearing you're getting there, you're meeting that higher purpose, and you need to keep finding your way because you're starting to get closer to your own truth, and that focus in a little more, and you're there. So you're really close to whatever breakthrough you're looking for, and I'm not sure what that is, but I think there's a bunch of things that you've sort of been doing. And that you're really close here. Does it feel like a breakthrough happened?
Yeah, just some clearing that went on. So
yeah, it's like they got rid of some of the old, and new stuff is coming in, and it's very good for you right now.
Yeah, it was a really interesting August. So
yes,
it's a great week. Right after the full moon that was there, and the retrograde, and all the eclipses that were there. So
yeah. For you, it's a breakthrough. So I want you to think that. Well, I don't want you to think. I know that what I'm hearing is that October for you is a really good time. So look to the full moon in October to be especially healing for you, and then it sort of leads you on to that next direction or path. Oh, I'm getting choked up. In that path in your life. So whatever you're like on that, I hate to say it, it's like the cusp, and you're just about to jump in. Really enjoy this time coming up. It's a new awakening.
Yes. Well, it sure took a long time to do it, but
yes.
Showed up for it. So.
Yeah, no, you're up for it. You're on the right way, so I know you got this. Okay. Well, congratulations, and thank you for calling in.
Yeah, thanks so much for speaking to another fellow Canadian.
Oh, no problem. Anytime.
Good day.
Yeah, you too. Thanks, eh? Bye. Oh, that's awesome. I don't get enough Canadians. So let's take another caller, 678, Roz, and then I'm going to jump into some questions that are coming up on Facebook.
Hello, this is Sandy.
Hi, Sandy. How are you tonight?
I'm doing well.
That's good. Where are you calling from?
Atlanta.
Ooh, how are you doing down there? Is it wet?
Well, it's actually pretty much out of Atlanta. It kind of was misty about 7, but we have some winds, but not bad. It just kind of dissipated, and whenever all this started, I just kind of sat there and visualized that it would slow down across Florida.
Yes.
And it wouldn't be quite as bad, but it still didn't make it very good.
You know, I think, I don't know, you know, it's very interesting right now that it's sort of like Mother Nature is ticked off with what we're doing to the earth, and she's just wiping clean. And it's just, I think it's just, you know, we had that eclipse, then we've had these tornadoes and hurricanes, and it's not just, you know, you can't see it's one country or another. We're having mudslides across the seas. We're having everything happen. So I think we've really annoyed Mother Nature, and we better clean up our act. Anyways, how can I help you this evening?
I'm not been on your show, so tell me what you think would, I mean, do you just read for a person?
Well, I just, if you have a question, I'm happy to answer it. If you're just looking for a little bit of direction, just give me somewhere to go. So.
Okay. My husband, how is his situation gonna turn out? I mean, with his job and maybe changing jobs and things like that.
Okay, it's very interesting because when you first called in, I pulled the, it was funny, I dropped the 7 of Pentacles, and then I pulled the Star. So those are both cards with really great meanings. So 7 of Pentacles, I don't know what your husband does, and I really don't need to know. It's just like, it's about working hard to get what you want and really watching how things are going. And then you'll get to where you need to go, and life will be in balance again, and you'll be able to have gifts. And when I say with gifts, I'm going to tell you what I'm hearing right now, though. You're a healer, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Why aren't you doing more of this? I keep hearing. Sorry. Sorry, not to put you on the spot, but I keep hearing you're a healer, and the more you do and get yourself out there and take control of it, the easier transition your husband and you are going to have for the next phase in your life.
Okay.
Sorry, I know you asked about your...
Do you feel like he's going to have any kind of surgery or anything like that?
It's not coming up as surgery at all. I'm not sure what the situation is, but then I'm not a doctor. I'm a psychic, and the doctor doesn't do psychic readings. I don't practice medicine. So listen to your doctor, but I'm not hearing that. I'm hearing that, I'm hearing more about you right now, actually. I'm hearing that he's a hard worker, and so he'll reap his rewards, but it's through hard work. But the messages from Spirit are about you, telling you to get out there, and I don't know what you need to do next to get ready to take the next stage in your life, but that's the message that comes through loud and clear.
Yeah, I am a healer, but I haven't been using it very much because I've been so busy with my dad. Yeah. And I also love jewelry making, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny how sometimes our passion doesn't follow our gift. My son was a very gifted in so many things in sports, but he really wanted to be an excellent sailor. He loves it, but he had to work really hard for it. And I think that's what I'm hearing from you. I really love this, but I work really hard for it. But your true gift is in your healing capability. So think about that, and maybe there's a way you can combine the two.
Okay, well, I appreciate it.
So there you go. Well, thank you very much for calling this evening, Sandy.
Okay, thank you.
You have a great evening. It's very interesting. Sometimes our passions and our wants and needs become two different things, and we don't always get to pick that thing. Sometimes life chooses it for us. And for a long time, I made soap because I love doing it. To me, it was like baking. I know it sounds weird, but I love to bake, and I was trying to lose weight, so the stirring and the adding of ingredients of making soap sort of took me into that thing, and that became my passion for a long time. But it wasn't what I was meant to be doing. So I went to where I was meant to be doing and did that instead. And you know what? I'm happy. I'm content, and I love what I do. So, and I can't really think why did I try that for many years? But I made amazing soap, I have to say. So let's talk to caller number 650, please.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, Betty Jane. I'm doing well. How are you?
Good, thanks. And who am I speaking with?
This is Miranda, and I would love a general reading if you can give it to me, just what's coming up for the next month or so.
Okay. What do you do for work, Miranda?
I'm in the counseling field.
Oh, cool. Very cool. What are you fighting right now?
Like, I'm sorry?
I said, what are you fighting right now?
What am I fighting?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't think I'm fighting anything except I'm getting tired of being patient.
Okay.
I'm waiting for the...
Yeah, that makes sense.
No fight as such.
Yeah, I think too. Sometimes our biggest battles are with ourselves. So I think once we get past that, are you self-employed?
Am I what?
Self-employed?
Self-employed? No, I'm not.
Okay. The card I pulled for you is the Wheel of Fortune. So good times ahead. But we know that wheels are round, so what comes up goes down. But right now it feels like it's on the upward swing for you, so there's some good things happening there. Changes are happening, and I think they're going to be beneficial for you. And I'm not supposed, and it's funny, I'm saying I think, and I'm giving that metaphoric slap in the head from Spirit and saying, stop saying I think. It's going to be beneficial for her. There's some changes coming down the pipes, and it works out really well for you. But I hate to say it, you've got to bide your time a bit.
Say that last part.
You got to kind of be a little bit more patient. But it's the next 4 to 6 weeks of some bigger change. Well, 4 to 6 weeks isn't too bad. Come on, but there's some bigger changes coming, and that's when it sort of starts to make sense for you. And it's going to be good. It's that wheel is swinging the right way for you right now. You can,
right. Yeah. That's the thing. Like I know changes are on the horizon, and I was just looking to see whether you had any timing card or any idea when.
In the next 4 or 6 weeks. Yeah, 4 to 6 weeks. It's not as bad as it seems. For me, it's before Halloween. Well, before Halloween. So definitely fall, but before the second harvest. So yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
You can do this.
Continue to be patient until then.
Absolutely. But it's funny. Being patient doesn't mean sitting on your hands and letting life happen. So maybe take some initiative and really show people who you are. If change isn't happening quickly enough, we sometimes have to make those changes. So absolutely.
Right.
Okay.
No, I've done my part. Now it's a matter of just waiting for everything else to fall into place. I've done what I could.
Absolutely, and but trust it's going to happen.
Very good.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good evening. Thank you. Bye.
You too. Bye.
So one of the questions that came up on Facebook here was, how do I gear up for a psychic fair? Well, it's so funny. There it goes, my husband. He knows how I prepare. First thing I do is laundry. I gotta tell you, first thing we have to do is laundry, and then you sort of get your gear together. And you kind of got to remember, because sometimes my gear, because my show stuff and my stuff I use for home are it's two different setups. So I have to remember to take the stuff out of the car and wash it, like tablecloths and stuff like that. So when I say do laundry, it really is do laundry. And packing up and making sure that if you see me, I don't miss many meals, but it's really hard to eat at shows. So making sure that's all taken care of. And I am not an organized person, so I really have to work at it. So getting things ready, making sure I have lots of water, and hotels are booked and things like that, and just gearing up that way. And then going into the fair. And one of the things people see me do at fairs, and it's really kind of funny, but I believe that we have to raise our vibration before we go in and do work, especially when you see 40 or 50 clients in a weekend. So right at the beginning of every day of the fair, you will see me dancing like a fool with my head like a chicken. I'm not, and I just twirl and I whirl and my skirts go flying and I'm dancing all over the room. Really, I really do dance like nobody's watching, and I raise that energy, and I do it every day of the fair. I email all my clients and say, hey, I'm going to be in town. Want to book a reading? I just let them know, because Ottawa's a 5-hour drive for me. So I'm not there every day. And sometimes you only connect with those clients once or twice a year. So it's good to do that. So those are the type of things that I like to do. And you know what? And then it's about coming home, having my assistant come in, and the wonderful Lindsay emails all my readings to all my clients for me. And I can just sort of sit back and be for a couple of hours on the Monday. And then I come back to Tuesday, I take off. And Tuesday night I do the radio show. So it's great. But it's really more about mental preparation and just psyching yourself up. And I just know when I go that it's what I meant to do. And this weekend I'm very lucky that I have Naomi coming up with me to do the fair, and that's going to be a lot of fun. And she's a very gifted reader herself, so it's nice to have the company on the drive up. Sometimes we listen to tapes or CDs from other healers and other psychics and mediums, just to get different ways of working and to get us in the mood, so to speak. So that really works well too. One of the other events I have coming up that runs all of October is Witch Fest North, and that's at all sorts of venues across Toronto. You've heard Monica on the show with me a couple of times, and we will be doing events everywhere, all over Toronto. There's going to be a map printed, and we will be where Tiff is right now, actually doing some events. I will be doing readings out of Wonderworks for the opening presentation and ceremonies and rituals, and then I will be leading a ancestors walk at Necropolis Cemetery on Thanksgiving weekend at 4 o'clock. Just a walk to honor the ancestors and explain a few things about, for lack of a better word, death and crossing over, and telling people where the spirit goes when we cross over and how that works, and leading in a meditation of some sort. So that's going to be a lot of fun for me anyways. And October is a crazy busy month for me, because then I'm off to Kingston and Hamilton and all over the place. I've got a spirit circle in the works for here in Toronto. I've got a few other things on the go. So there's a lot going on in October for me. And I do want to take a minute and talk a little bit about the Raise Your Vibration that I'm doing, and that is Raise Your Psychic Vibration. That's something I'm doing next spring, and that's May 28th, and that will be in Glastonbury, England. So if you've ever wanted to raise your own psychic vibration, learn more about it, let me tell you what's going to happen. You are going to fly into London, and I will meet you, and then we will go to Glastonbury by bus, and we will, because it'll be a little bit lighter, we'll drive by Stonehenge in the twilight, which will be pretty cool. We will be welcomed in Glastonbury to our 4 Victorian workers' cottages we'll be staying in, and we'll have a quiet and private courtyard. We will divvy up the rooms. We will be welcomed to the wine and cheese party. Remember, accommodation and teaching and food, meals are all included. And then the next morning we will get up, we will have a morning meditation, we will walk a labyrinth. We will start into learning with our tarot cards, which, by the way, I will provide the tarot cards for this trip. We will learn to use a crystal ball. We will change it up a little bit, and we will play with we will start to work on our spirit guide too. By the end of the 7 days in Glastonbury with me, you will learn how to use your tarot cards. You will be quite comfortable in giving readings. You will know how to use that crystal ball. You will be confident when you connect to your spirit guide. So that's all things that are great that you're going to learn to do. You're going to have used the pendulum at least once there, probably more than that. We will also work with tea leaf readings. We will spend a night in the pub, and of course we will have the quintessential British fish and chips from one of the oldest in the UK. We will climb up Glastonbury Tor. We will go to Chalice Well and the White Spring, and we will spend some time in the Abbey. There's also a day trip planned to Stonehenge and Avebury. And I was talking about this today, and the lady said to me, "What's Avebury?" Avebury is a stone circle that's actually larger than Stonehenge. It just doesn't have all the height. So you have to wear shoes, though. Don't wear open-toed sandals, because I have to tell you, the sheep do run free there. And they're not potty trained. So but it's an amazing place, and the energy is fabulous. We will have so much going on, and we will walk a labyrinth at the end. And one of the things I like to do with a labyrinth, it's sort of a walking meditation. So as you're walking around it, you can sort of find out how you're working and where you need work on, and work within self. Every path of the labyrinth has to do with a different element, be it the physical, the emotional, the intellectual, the spiritual. So there's so more the passionate, the fire. And then if you look in that, every direction corresponds with those elements. Of course, north is physical, because that's the earth, and south is fire, and the west is the water, so that's the emotion. And the east is the air, and that's your intellect. So when you're walking the path and you sort of wobble or have wobble one of those sections, and how it relates with the path you're on to the direction you're in, and what work you might need. And then when you look at it again, what might have changed over the course of the week. And really, it's something that we're going to have a lot of. It's going to be, the word I want to use is groundbreaking, but it's not. It's going to be a breakthrough for you. It's going to take your vibration from one level to another, and it's going to be a very uplifting experience for you. And I'm starting to get people really interested in it. So if this is something you're interested in, please email me or Facebook me, or send me a message through my website at www.bettyjaneware.com for more information. And I think that I know this is something that everybody is going to enjoy, and they're all going to get something out of. So I really hope that people will sign up for this. I can't wait. This is the workshop that I was made to do, this intensive, and I'm really looking forward to it. So it's going to be very much groundbreaking for each and every person, not necessarily it's not like, earth shattering and things, but it is for inside, because it's all internal work. So it's going to be a lot of fun, and it's going to be very interesting for everybody. Everybody will go home with a new sense of self, and that's what I do. So it can be quite good. And as I said, there's a lot going on in everybody's lives right now. There's been all kinds of things happening within the world. And like I said to that caller, sometimes I just think that the goddess or Mother Nature is just a little ticked with us, and she's letting us know that she's not happy, and we need to clean up our act. And no, I'm not saying anybody deserves to get their homes lost or devastation, lives taken away. But maybe we really need to take a look at what we're doing as a whole and see how that works. So, like I said, we're off to Ottawa this weekend, and Ottawa is one of my favorite places to go and do readings. I have many clients that I love to see in Ottawa that I only get to see once or twice a year that I'm up there. And what else is happening? I know what's happening. I haven't mentioned in Kleinburg this weekend, this Binder Twine Festival. So if you've got a chance to go out to Kleinburg to the Binder Twine Festival, please do so. But the 28th, Thursday the 28th, I believe it is, there is a fashion show at Hawthorne House in Kleinburg. And there's a 10 o'clock showing, and there's a 2 o'clock showing. And Lynn Spence from Toronto's Breakfast Television and City Line will be there. And tickets are relatively inexpensive. And I am going to be there the first show on the Thursday morning at 10 o'clock, which includes breakfast. And then there's going to be some specials and shopping afterwards. So I think everybody should get out to Kleinburg and support this small business. That's how we make our country good. So let's try and support someone. And it's going to be a lovely, lovely day. I know it is. And then after that, I'm on my way to London, Ontario to do a psychic fair that weekend. So I can't wait. It's like I said, September, October is my busy time of year. There's a lot going on right now. So don't forget, please call in. I'm sure Tiffany will put the number up for us again. And don't forget, you can get in touch with me personally at 416-894-2602. Or you can email me at bettyjaneware@me.com. Witchfest North is coming up. That's in Toronto, and it is in venues all over Toronto. So it's going to start Thursday, October 5th at 7 o'clock at Wonderworks for opening ritual, and then we will be doing like I said, all kinds of things. There's a witch's market. There's a night of prophecy, shall we say. So it's going to be readings. And then there is going to be a labyrinth walk and final ceremony. There's going to be a witch's ball. So please come out to witchfestnorth.org is the website and find out more about this really amazing event. My husband, he was asked, do I have a favorite tarot deck? That's a really interesting question. And it raises another question, actually, when I was asked the other day online. Yes, I do have a favorite tarot deck. It's the one I'm working with at that particular time. For me personally, the one that I personally use to read with whenever I am working for myself, and I don't do it very often, I like Rider-Waite inspired decks. So Rider-Waite itself, I like the Illuminati, I like Apocalypse, I like the Good Witch Tarot is a new one I just purchased. I'm not a big Oracle fan user, but when I do, it's Barbara Micklejohn Free's Witch's Wisdom Oracle, and it's the one that I actually talk about when I'm at psychic fairs. It's the one that I use there. Let's see, tarot decks are kind of interesting because you've got your Rider-Waite inspired and your Marseille inspired. And when I say Rider-Waite inspired, it's because this is a minor arcana card, and the minor arcana, they're always illustrated. The whole card is illustrated, so you can sort of see the story in the picture. Whereas when the Marseille cards, it would just be the 5 pentacles. You wouldn't necessarily get the picture that surrounds it to tell you the whole story. So I like the illustrated pips, and for me, that's a Rider-Waite inspired deck. There's lots of different ones out there on the market, and as I said, it's whatever one I'm currently working with. When a person comes and sits down with me for a reading, and it's a tarot reading, I quite often have 3 or 4 different types of decks for them to pick from. They're all Rider-Waite style, but it might be the Radiant, it might be the Centennial version of the Rider-Waite. It's probably an Illuminati of some sort, and the Good Witch or the Witch's Tarot. Those are 2 very different decks, by the way. Witch's Tarot is an Ellen Cannon Reed deck, and it's out of print. The Good Witch is a relatively new deck out on the market, so it's one that's I'm still playing with a little bit, but I really am enjoying it, and I'm starting to get to know it a little more. One of the things that they say you can do when you start with a new deck is to interview your deck and ask it what you need to know about how it will work for you and what you will learn from it, because every time you pick up a tarot deck, you learn something new. And I'm going to be quite honest with you. It doesn't matter if it's, for me, it doesn't matter if it's the Rider-Waite and it's a deck I've used 100 times before. I still ask for them. I still get different answers. I still learn from it. It's almost like you could interview your deck every single day and get a different, I ask what I would learn from it, and it would tell me a different question, tell me a different point of view or answer, because there's always something new to learn. And let's face it, if we all worked or we all knew it all right away, well, I like to think I do, but that's not the case at all. So we would have to. So we're always learning. Otherwise, life is a journey, and if it stops, well, you've stopped too. So it's a very different thing. So it really does depend on the day. Personally, my very favorite deck is the Thoth deck. It's the one I use a lot at home. But for myself, I find that there's an intensity to it, a different depth of character, but it can be a little too intense for people in reading, so I don't tend to pull it out very often. I do use my Rider-Waite's, and one of the ones I like too, I didn't mention up there, but it's my Llewellyn Tarot by Anne-Marie Ferguson, and it's quite a gentle deck, I find. I like using that deck when I have a client that's never had a reading before, because it tends to be very gentle. The imageries don't get me wrong. It's got the positive and it's got the not so positive cards. I like that deck. The one deck I can't stand, that might be a different question altogether. Let's put it this way. There's a lot of, you can't go to a reader and say, I only want to know good things, because life doesn't hand you just good things. So the one deck I can't stand is the Good Tarot, because it's a little too Pollyanna for me. How can you take the death card out of a tarot deck and call it transitions? Yes, that might be what death means most of the time, transition, transformation. I don't whatever they've called it, I no longer have that deck. That's one I couldn't get on with because of it. How can you take the Tower out of a deck because Tower is not necessarily negative, it's chaotic. But sometimes chaotic energy can be a lot of fun. And you know what? The Three of Swords, it's there, it's heartbreak. Yeah, but we don't go through life and never get our heart broken. So I like to say it's good that we know these things, and it's good to have some warning of what's to come. So I don't have a problem with the not so positive cards in a tarot. So those are reasons why I think we need to look at that intensity and see what's out there. Speaking of the Tower, oops, it's funny when you speak of a card and it pops out of the deck into your hand. And look at this card. It is a scary looking card, isn't it? We've got this lovely tower in the middle. It's being hit by lightning and by rain and by dark clouds. There's fire coming out of it. There's people coming out of it. They're jumping out into nowhere. Sort of describes the world right now, doesn't it? Do you think that somebody pulled this card last week and didn't know what was going on? But it's like anything else. Look at all, look at and I'm going to take it back to the events of the last couple of weeks in Florida and Texas. The people, once they knew what was happening, they could decide to get out because they had that warning. They could also decide to stay, but they could make an informed decision, and they could prepare for the worst that Mother Nature had to throw at them. And that's what they did. So that's not, knowing these things isn't a bad thing. It's being warned. Okay, the question that was just asked was, how do I disconnect? That's a great question. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I don't. I have to admit, there are sometimes I go home from a show, from a client, whatever, and that's still on my mind. But that's about building up walls and learning how to do that. But for me, disconnecting and clearing after a reading or after a psychic fair, and if I say I go home and I have a drink, I mean water. I mean a glass of water, a cup of tea. It's about getting back to the physical and coming back into self. But there are stories and there are scenarios that stay with you. You may not remember the client. You may not remember the situation, but you remember the hurt. You remember the feelings, and you remember the desolation that the person felt, or you remember the situation. And sometimes they're funny situation, but sometimes somebody's going through something that's incredibly painful. and you take that little piece home, and there's no way you're not affected. You'd have to be inhuman not to be affected by things that people go through. But it's about appreciating what's going on around you and hoping that you're healing. I guess it's like being a nurse. You hope that you heal and you do the best that you can with it, and then you disconnect and move forward. And by disconnect, it's like I said, it's drinking, grabbing your cup of coffee, tea, water, and just having that sip and touching and regrounding, refocusing, and sometimes asking your guides, just say, you know what, I need some me time. Can you please help? And guides are really good at letting you. Absolutely, Rob. That's where grounding comes for. That's what I mean. Asking and grounding and taking that time and getting that protection and doing that. And that's when you sort of, if you do it well, then you're okay. But sometimes we don't protect ourselves because we give too much of ourselves. But being able to do that is a huge benefit in our line of work. And I know Robin's a tarot reader too. So, but sometimes we go home with a little piece. You know what? Sometimes we do. But being able to come back to the physical is extremely important. And you know what? Sometimes the best nights ever, ask my husband, is one of those things after a night of doing a lot of readings for a charity event or whatever. Doing that and nothing for a while is it can be just incredibly relaxing. And just kicking back in whatever way and just feeling that disconnect. And the other thing I do is meditate and realign my chakras. Okay, Rachel, how do you deal with a person who sits down? I can't read the whole thing. Oh, I'll get that. I love this question. Thank you, Rachel. You know what I do? This is really funny. I teach a lot. One of the things I do is I hand them a crystal ball. I know it sounds really weird, but the moment you give them something to do, they can't. People don't multitask well. Even if I know women have this great ability to do it, but as soon as you give them a crystal ball or something to hold on to, they start to play with it. You can't help it. And the more you play with something, the more that wall goes down. It's one of the things I teach actually during tarot classes is a person sitting down there, because I'll say to them, you know what? You just plunked down a good deal of your hard-earned money. You're putting up a wall. You're not letting me in. You're going to get a really great reading, but you'd get so much more if you would let me in. And they go, and if they still have that wall up and you can see it, hand them something, a tarot. And for me, it's a crystal ball. There's always one on my table. I hand it to them and they can't help themselves. It's cool. They're playing with it. They're just, they're fiddling around with it. They're looking at it. They're doing all those things. And the more they do that, the more their walls drop and the easier it is for me to get in. Great question. Thank you so much for it, because it is a true thing and it's hard to do sometimes. A couple of years ago, I did this workshop in the UK and it was at the tarot conference, and there was 80 tarot readers in the room, and I took little glass marbles from the dollar store, and we did that exact exercise. And thank you. It is a good idea. I know I'm a genius. Thank you. Not so much, but it does work. And you know what? You just give them something, and it makes it easier. So absolutely. But when I did this at the tarot conference in London, everybody was looking, and they did the exact same things that Rachel and Robin have just said. Thank you. It does work for whatever reason. To be fair, it could probably be bubble wrap, but who wants to lug around bubble wrap when you've got a crystal ball probably sitting on your table? So absolutely. And my word of wisdom about crystal ball is make it small enough that the person can handle, that you can lug around carefully. It doesn't matter what size your crystal ball is. And I always like to say, in an outdoor venue, make sure that you have a colored crystal ball and not a clear one, because I have the burn marks on my table to prove that I have not done that. So absolutely. And it does not matter how big it is or how small it is. It matters how you connect with it. I have probably a dozen of them. I used to have a shop, so that's why My favorite one to work with is the one that was my grandmother's, and that's been handed down. But I also have several that I use for fairs and shows, and one of my most active ones is the one that I take to those events. And it's sitting behind my computer there. I love citrine for that reason. So it's one of those things that communicates with me for so many reasons, and I'm not sure exactly why that is. So absolutely. Now we all know October's coming, and what does October say? Okay, I'm going to take Robin's question first of all. Any color of choice? It's really funny. I have a friend that only collects rose quartz crystal balls because she likes pink. So I have jet, I have citrine, I have clear, I have rose, I have goldstone, so yeah, okay, I have a lot. I think I even have an amethyst one, but it's whatever you resonate with. And when you get the right, I have to say this the whole way. When you get the right crystal ball, you'll know. And a good metaphysical shop or a good shop will let you sit down and play with them until you get the right one. I have a friend in Glastonbury, and he's the crystal man in Glastonbury. And when you walk in, he will say, and you're looking at the crystal balls, he will say, "Come into my store, open my drawers, and rummage with my balls." But he'll let you sit there all day and play with his balls, crystal balls, that is. But it's absolutely true. So, and a good shop will let you do that. And just, you know what? Some people, they hear it. I've always heard it. Some people, it's a tingle. Some people, it's just a knowing, or it comes into their head or whatever. So I'm glad I'm a comedian, but it's a true story. But you know what? It's just that connection, and it's just that sense of knowing. And it's one of the things I'll be teaching on my retreat to Glastonbury next year. So, and not only that, I'll take you into that shop, and you can play in his drawers and rummage around with his balls if you want, the crystal ones, I mean. But absolutely, same thing with pendulums. They call to you, and some people, they find they get warm. Some people it's cold. So it's always a difference. Sometimes it's a tingle. Sometimes it's it's a vibration. Last night, Kathy said, hello. Kathy said to me, it's just vibrating, and then it stopped. And I said, well, maybe that's a no. So we played around with it a little bit, and to find out what was happening. And that's, there you go. You email me through my website and I'll get you some information. But it's a lot of fun. So it's one of those things that you just sort of know. And when it's the right one, I remember once somebody said to me, oh, it's when it gets hot in your hand. Not necessarily, because we all work differently. So it works a little differently with us. And I do like to say to people that we need to figure out how it works with us. If you've ever used a pendulum, one of the things, the first thing I do is get my sort of happy medium where I say, okay, my name is George. Obviously it's not George, but, and then get my yes or no, and we start from there. But you know, I do the same thing with a crystal ball, because if my energy is shifted, then my yes, no is going to be different. So I want to always check that before I work with myself with it. And I think that's something that we need to do. So absolutely. So let's take caller 707, please, Roz.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, Betty. How are you?
Good, thanks. And who's this?
Hi, this is Valerie.
Hi, and how can I help you tonight?
Hi, this is Valerie. Yeah, I spoke with you last week in regards to a job.
Okay.
But I hadn't had a contact at that point. But I was contacted this week for a job that's 4 days a week, but I was hoping for 3 days. It's pretty much everything I want except for the 4 days.
Yeah.
And the last time I spoke with you, you were telling me that it's probably going to be more than hours than I was thinking.
Yeah.
And sure enough, the call came. And so when I spoke with her, I just said, well, you know, I want to be honest. I wasn't looking for 4 days. I was looking for 3.
Mm-hmm.
So But now I'm thinking, do you think she'll possibly call back and negotiate, or because I don't want to lose that connection now that I'm thinking about it?
No, I think you need to call her back and let her know that you're willing to work. You know, I think you're willing to do the 4 days, but you prefer the 3. So I think that you'll let her. I think that's something you need to let her know.
Okay.
And then,
then you can, coming from?
I think that it'll evolve into what you need it to be.
Oh, okay, over time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, do you see me getting that position? Because I'm sure it's not just me that.
No, I think this is yours. This is yours. It's just a matter of time of making it work for you.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Congratulations.
So I should call her back. When did you see me working then if I do call her back?
Pardon?
I was asking, when do you see me working if I call her back?
Oh, you're going to be starting right away. So probably Monday or a week Monday.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you're going to be starting right away.
Oh.
Okay. Congratulations.
Oh, okay.
I'm so happy for you.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay. You have a good evening.
Okay, you too. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Tiffany Roz, if you could please put number 856 on, please. Hello. Hi, Rosemaria. How are you this evening?
Fine. How are you?
Good, thanks. How can I help?
I did get a job for next week temporarily, but the communication not yet. If that's ever going to happen with a friend of mine overseas, so I can go home.
Pardon?
If I can, I did get a job next week. Start next week for it, and I did get that one the last time I talked to you, and there's no communication yet with a friend of mine that's overseas.
Okay.
I was wondering if that's going to happen soon.
Okay. You're a reader, aren't you?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah. Okay. So what does your gut tell you about your person overseas? I'm going to tell you, I don't know if you're watching on Facebook Live, but I pulled the High Priestess for you. So I'm going to sort of turn this back to you. What is your gut telling you?
I know he's going to communicate with me.
Yeah.
Call me soon, but it's like sometimes you can't read for yourself.
Yeah.
Being patient, I can't wait any longer.
No, I know. But it's going to happen. It's going to happen. It's taking some time. There's some things he's got to sort out. But it will happen. But right now, follow your gut. Because when I pull the High Priestess for you, that means for you to follow your gut and believe. But I also pulled the Knight of Pentacles, so that tells me that he's just clearing up some things that some of his own, I don't want to use the word mess, but he's got a lot going on, so he needs to clear it up. I don't know what's happening at work for him, but there's things there that he's sort of got to deal with.
Yeah, it's like when I was here last, it's like nothing much happening.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to let it go.
Yeah, it seems to me like he's a little overwhelmed right now, so he's sort of dealing with that.
Cool, so just wait for his call then.
Yeah,
cool.
Absolutely. Thank you for calling tonight, Rosemaria. You're welcome.
I hope I can work with you one day.
Absolutely. Look into my retreat. Maybe you'll come to Glastonbury with me next spring. Cool.
I can do that.
There you go. Nothing stopping you. Thank you for calling.
Well, so I guess. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, we have probably our last caller of the night at 336. Hello. Hello.
Hello, I'm sorry. Is it me?
Yes, it's you. How are you?
Hello. Lord. Okay, good.
And who am I speaking with?
I'm glad I got to talk to you. Robin Wood. I'm the one that's been commenting.
Oh, there you go. Wood. How are you, Robin?
I'm fine. I hope you're very well. Namaste.
Thank you. Same to you. How can I help you tonight?
Thank you. I've got a real blockage with reading for myself. Mm-hmm. How can I overcome that?
I'm going to tell you now, I've been doing this I know I look like I'm 21, but I'm actually 52. And I've been doing this professionally since I was 18. You can do the math. I don't read for myself. I go see somebody else. In my opinion, I can tell myself what I want to hear. So I can lie to myself. I can say, hey, you know what? I got the 3 of Swords. That doesn't mean anything. Yeah, right. But if I am going to read for myself, I type. I get my producer's being really rude to me right now. What I get is a deck of tarot cards. You know, the quick and easy tarot, the ones with the meanings written on them?
Yes, got it.
Yeah, use that for yourself. Because you can't lie to yourself. It's right there in black and white. Use that one. You're not cheating. You're being honest, actually. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so, and I don't read for myself. I usually go see somebody else.
Absolutely. Me too. Absolutely.
Yeah. So, I mean, a professional doctor goes see another doctor, don't they?
Absolutely, they do. And there's no harm in that. It's not that you're not a good person or a great reader. It's just that you're really honest in the fact that if you pull a card for you, doesn't matter if you it's like pulling that death card. Oh, it's just transition. Don't worry. Yeah, okay. And sometimes it is, but sometimes it's not. Pulling the Tower going, oh, but I'm the strength. And sometimes it is, but sometimes it's not. But if you're seeing the positive in every card all the time for yourself, then you're full of crap.
Exactly. You are so right. Well, thank you so much for answering my question.
No problem. No problem. Anytime. You have a great evening.
You too.
Thank you. Bye. Isn't that funny? That's one of those things I say all the time though, if you're reading for yourself, buy yourself a deck that's got the meanings on them and don't lie. And just be honest, because none of us can read for ourselves. It's like, every story having a happy ending, because it would if we read for ourselves. So and there's no shame in that. I know a lot of people say, well, I listened to my angels and they told me. Absolutely, they do. And you need to pay attention to that. But sometimes you actually also need to pay attention to the signs around you. I know when I belong to several Facebook groups and they go, oh, I found this today. What does it mean? That means you found that today. Don't worry about it. So don't look into hidden meanings. And when you read for yourself, I would suggest that you have somebody else do it, but get yourself a deck that has the words on it, because that way you can't lie to yourself. And I want to thank everybody for calling tonight. Don't forget how to get in touch with me at www.bettyjaneware.com or 416-894-2602, or tune into Facebook, Betty Jane Ware on Facebook. Thank you all and have a great evening. Night. Bye.